Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video. Real quick before we start, if this story makes you check over your shoulder, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. I always wonder who's brave enough to listen to these alone at night. Alright, let's get into it. My name is Marcus Reeves. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Army Rangers, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. I served from 1989 to 1998, including deployments to Panama, Somalia, and places that are still classified. I've seen combat, real combat, the kind that follows you home and never leaves. But nothing I experienced in war prepared me for what happened in Arizona in September 1996. Nothing prepared me for the thing we found in the desert, or the thing that found us. I'm going to tell you about skinwalkers. Not the movie version, not the creepypasta version. The real thing. What the Navajo people have feared for centuries. What they won't even speak about because speaking its name gives it power. What wore my sergeant's face and tried to make me kill my own team. I've kept this secret for 28 years. Signed papers, made promises, kept my mouth shut while the nightmares ate me alive. But I'm done hiding. The men who died deserve to have their story told, and the thing that killed them is still out there. People need to know. This is what really happened on the Navajo Nation in 1996, and why the Army will never send soldiers there again. It started with a missing patrol. August 1996. Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Military intelligence training facility. A routine patrol went out into the desert on a navigation exercise. 6 soldiers. Standard training mission. They were supposed to be gone 3 days. They never came back. Search parties went out. Found their vehicles at the edge of the Navajo Nation. Found their gear scattered over several miles. Found blood. But no soldiers, no bodies, no sign of what had happened to them. The Navajo Nation police were called in. They searched for a week, found tracks that made no sense, human footprints that suddenly became animal prints, claw marks on rocks, and in one canyon they found a cave with symbols painted on the walls. Old symbols, the kind the Navajo don't talk about. The tribal police chief, a man named Samuel Begay, made some calls. Told the Army to stay out. Told them this wasn't something soldiers could handle. Said some things in the desert weren't meant to be found by outsiders. The Army didn't listen. 2 weeks after the first patrol disappeared, they sent another one. This time, military police. 8 soldiers. Better armed, better prepared. They were ordered to locate the missing men and determine what had happened to them. They found something. We know that because we received one radio transmission. Broken. Panicked. The MP squad leader screaming about something in the rocks. Something that looked like Corporal Williams but wasn't him. Then the transmission cut off. They sent helicopters. Found the vehicles. Found the gear. Found more blood. But no soldiers, no bodies. 14 men had now vanished in the same stretch of desert. That's when they called us. I was at Fort Benning when the orders came down. Emergency deployment, full squad, destination classified. We were on a C-130 within 6 hours, flying west into the setting sun. Nobody told us anything, just that soldiers were missing and we were being sent to find them. There were 12 of us. Alpha Squad, 2nd Platoon, combat veterans, all of us. Our squad leader was Staff Sergeant Michael Torres. Puerto Rican, kid from the Bronx. 3 combat deployments. Tough as they come. Smartest tactical mind I ever served with. I was his second in command. Then there was Sergeant Pete Kowalski, our communications specialist. Corporal Davis, our medic. Corporal Chen, our sniper. And 7 other Rangers who'd proven themselves in the worst conditions on Earth. We'd fought in Panama, we'd fought in Mogadishu, We'd fast roped into places that don't exist on any map. We were Rangers, the best light infantry in the world. We had no idea what we were walking into. We landed at a small airstrip outside Tuba City, Arizona. Middle of the night, middle of nowhere. The desert stretched out around us, flat and empty, under a sky so full of stars it didn't look real. The silence was absolute. No insects, no wind, nothing. A convoy of vehicles was waiting. Army issue but unmarked. No unit designations. No flags. Just plain tan Humvees and a couple of supply trucks. The men who met us weren't in standard uniforms either. They had that look. The look of people who work for agencies that don't officially exist. The senior man introduced himself as Mr. Kane. No rank, no first name, just Kane. He looked about 50, gray hair, hard eyes, the kind of guy who'd seen things and stopped being surprised by any of them. "Sergeant Torres, Sergeant Reeves," he said, shaking our hands. "Thank you for coming. We have a situation here that requires your specific skill set." "What situation?" Torres asked. "We weren't briefed." "You're being briefed now. Get your men in the vehicles. We'll talk on the way." We loaded up and rolled out into the desert. Kane rode with Torres and me in the lead vehicle. For several minutes he just stared out the window at the darkness. Then he started talking. 14 soldiers are missing, you know that much. What you don't know is that this isn't the first time. Soldiers have been going missing in this area for decades. Local civilians, too. Hikers, hunters, people who wander too far into certain parts of the reservation. "What's taking them?" Torres asked. Kane was quiet for a moment. "The Navajo have a name for it. Naaldlooshii. It translates roughly to, 'with it, he goes on all fours.' But that doesn't really capture what it is." "What is it?" I asked. "A skinwalker." I'd heard the term before. Vague stories, Native American legends, something about witches who could turn into animals. I'd always assumed it was mythology, superstition, the kind of thing people believed before science explained the world. Kane saw the skepticism on my face. "I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing when I was first assigned to this region, but I've been out here for 15 years, Sergeant. I've seen things that don't fit into any scientific framework, and I've learned to trust the people who've lived with these things for centuries." "You're telling us there's some kind of monster in the desert," Torres said. Not a question, a statement. Flat and hard. "I'm telling you there's something in the desert that has killed at least 14 soldiers and an unknown number of civilians. Something that the Navajo people fear so much they won't even speak its name aloud. Something that your training did not prepare you for." "Our training prepared us for everything," Torres replied. Kane looked at him, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes that might have been pity. "No, Sergeant, it didn't." We arrived at a forward operating base that had been set up in a canyon about 20 miles from where the soldiers had disappeared. Tents, generators, communications equipment, a small helicopter pad, maybe 30 personnel total, a mix of military and the same unmarked uniform types as Kane. But there were others too. Navajo. 3 elderly men and 1 woman, sitting apart from the military personnel. They watched us arrive with expressions I couldn't read. Not hostile, not friendly, just careful, like they were evaluating us, deciding something. Kane led us to a briefing tent. Maps on the walls, photographs. The 14 missing soldiers stared at us from the photos. Young faces, confident. No idea what was coming for them. "The disappearances all occurred in the same general area," Kane said, pointing to the map. about 15 square miles of canyon country northeast of here. The terrain is extremely rugged, deep canyons, cave systems, very limited vehicle access. The Navajo consider it forbidden territory. They don't go there, they don't talk about it, and they warned us not to go there either. But we went anyway, Torres said. We went anyway, and we lost 14 men. He pulled up another image. Tracks. At first, they looked human, boot prints in sand. But then they changed, gradually elongated. The toes became claws. The gait became something else, something that walked on 4 legs instead of 2. These were found near the first patrol's vehicles. The tracks start human and become something else. We've had experts analyze them. The transition is anatomically impossible. Whatever made these tracks changed shape while it was walking. Changed shape. The words hung in the air. This was insane. This was impossible. This was what we were supposed to believe. You said Skinwalker, I said. What exactly does that mean? Kane looked toward the tent entrance. One of the Navajo elders was standing there. An old man with deep lines in his face and eyes that looked like they'd seen centuries, not decades. He entered without asking permission. His presence seemed to fill the space. "I will tell you," he said. His English was accented but clear. "Because you need to understand what you are facing. And because if you don't understand, you will die like the others." His name was John Nez. He was a Hatawi, a traditional healer, a medicine man. He was also one of the few people willing to speak about skinwalkers with outsiders. And he was terrified. Among my people, there are those who walk the path of beauty, who use their knowledge to heal, to protect, to maintain harmony with the world. But there are others who walk a different path, a dark path. They use their knowledge for evil, for power, for things that should never be done. He sat down across from us. His hands were steady, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He was afraid. This old man, who'd probably faced every danger the desert could throw at him, was afraid to speak these words. To become a naaldlooshii, one must commit the worst sin. The murder of a close family member, a parent, a sibling, a child. This act destroys the person's humanity, breaks something fundamental in their spirit, and opens them to powers that humans were never meant to have. "What kind of powers?" Torres asked. "They can change their shape, wear the skins of animals, coyotes, wolves, owls. They can move faster than any human, see in total darkness, heal from wounds that would kill a normal person, and they can read thoughts, know your fears, your weaknesses, use them against you." "That's not possible," I said. "People can't change shape. That's not how biology works." Nez looked at me with something like sadness. "Your science explains many things, but not everything. There are old powers in this land, powers that were here before humans. The Skinwalker has learned to use those powers, to become something that is neither human nor animal, something in between, something wrong." Kane pulled up another image. This one made my stomach turn. It was a human form, but distorted. Limbs too long. Spine curved wrong. Face stretched into something that wasn't quite a muzzle, but wasn't human either. It had been photographed at night, with thermal imaging. This was captured by one of our surveillance teams last year, before it destroyed the equipment and killed the operator. "What the hell is that?" Kowalski whispered. "That," Kane said, "is what's killing soldiers. And that's what you're being sent to find and destroy. Destroy. Not capture, not study. Destroy." Torres stared at the image for a long time. I could see him processing. adjusting. He was a ranger. He didn't believe in monsters, but he believed in missions, and he believed in results. "How do we kill it?" he asked. Nez answered. "It is difficult. They are fast, strong. They heal quickly, but they can be killed. Fire, ash from certain trees, bullets blessed by a medicine man, a shot to the head or heart if you can make it." "Regular bullets won't work?" I asked. "They will wound it, slow it down, but it will heal unless the wound is made with the proper protections. I can prepare your weapons, bless them, but you must understand something." He leaned forward. His eyes locked onto mine. "The Skinwalker does not fight like an animal. It fights like a human because it was human. It will not charge you blindly. It will study you, learn your weaknesses, turn you against each other. It is evil, but it is intelligent evil, the most dangerous kind. Turn you against each other." I didn't like the sound of that. Torres asked the question we were all thinking. "Why is it killing soldiers? What does it want?" Nez was quiet for a moment. "Power. A Skinwalker gains power from the fear and pain of its victims. The more fear it creates, the stronger it becomes. Your soldiers were warriors, trained to face danger without fear. They would have been a challenge, a prize, and when it killed them, it would have taken their power for itself." "Taken their power?" I asked. "When a Skinwalker kills, it can take aspects of its victim, their skills, their memories, their face." He paused. "The soldiers who disappeared. If the Skinwalker killed them, it can now look like them, talk like them, know what they knew. It could walk into your camp wearing your friend's face, and you would not know until it was too late." Wearing your friend's face. I looked at Torres. He looked back at me. I could see the same thought in his eyes. How the hell were we supposed to fight something that could look like anyone? Kane stepped forward. "Your mission is to enter the Forbidden Zone. Locate the Skinwalker and eliminate it. You'll be equipped with blessed ammunition and other protections that Mr. Nez will provide. You'll have radio contact with the fob at all times, and you'll have extraction available if things go wrong." "What happened to the 14 soldiers?" Torres asked. "Are they dead?" Kane and Nez exchanged a look. "We don't know," Kane admitted. "We haven't found bodies, but we haven't found survivors either. They've been missing for weeks. If they're not dead—" He didn't finish. He didn't have to. If they're not dead, then the Skinwalker was wearing their faces. Torres stood up. "When do we move out?" "Dawn tomorrow. Get some rest. Eat. Prepare your gear. Mr. Nez will bless your weapons tonight." Kane hesitated. "Sergeant, I've sent men into that canyon before. Good men, well-trained. They didn't come back. Whatever you think you know about combat, about survival, forget it. This is different. This is something else entirely." Torres looked at him with the flat eyes of a man who'd seen Mogadishu, who'd been in the Black Hawk Down fight and walked out alive. "With respect, sir, we're rangers. There's nothing we can't handle." Kane didn't argue. He just nodded slowly and left the tent. Nez remained. "Your sergeant is brave," the old man said. "Brave men die well, but they still die." "We've been in worse situations than hunting one creature in the desert," I said. Nez shook his head. "No, you haven't. You have fought humans. Humans with guns and bombs and hatred in their hearts. But humans. You have never faced this. The Skinwalker is not a creature. It is a corruption, a perversion of everything that should be. And it will not fight you fairly. It will get inside your mind, make you see things, hear things, make you doubt your brothers, doubt yourself. That is how it kills, not with claws and teeth, with fear." He stood up, moved toward the tent entrance, then stopped. There is something you must promise me. If you find it, if you face it, do not listen to it. Whatever it says, whatever voice it uses, do not listen. It will know things about you. Private things, secret things. It will use them against you. You must be deaf to its words, blind to its tricks, or you will die in that canyon like all the others. Then he was gone. Torres and I sat in silence for a long time. Outside, I could hear our men setting up their gear, cleaning weapons, talking quietly. They didn't know yet. Didn't know what we were really facing. "Do you believe any of this?" I asked Torres. He thought about it. Really thought about it. "I believe something killed 14 soldiers. I believe something is out there. What it is, monster or man or something else, I don't know. But if it bleeds, we can kill it. That's all that matters." He was right. Whatever this thing was, it had killed soldiers. Our brothers, and we were going to find it and put it down. But that night, lying in my cot trying to sleep, I kept thinking about what Nez had said. It will get inside your mind, make you doubt your brothers, doubt yourself. I thought about my team, 12 men I'd served with for years, men I trusted with my life, men I'd die for without hesitation, and I thought about the Skinwalker wearing their faces, speaking with their voices, knowing their memories. How do you fight something that can become anyone? How do you trust your brother when he might not be your brother anymore? I didn't sleep that night. I don't think anyone did. And in the morning, we walked into the desert to hunt something that had been hunting humans since before America existed. God help us. We moved out at dawn. 12 rangers walking into country that the Navajo had avoided for centuries. The desert stretched out ahead of us, beautiful and deadly in the early morning light. Red rock formations rising from the sand. Canyons cutting deep into the earth. Ancient land, sacred land, and forbidden. John Nez had blessed our weapons the night before, said prayers over our ammunition, given each of us a small pouch of ashes to wear around our necks. He said the ash came from a tree struck by lightning and would offer protection against the Skinwalker's power. I didn't know if I believed him, but I wore the pouch anyway. At that point, I'd take any protection I could get. We moved in patrol formation, Torres on point, me bringing up the rear. 12 men spread out in a tactical column, weapons ready, scanning every rock and shadow. Standard operating procedure. Except nothing about this mission was standard. The terrain got rougher as we moved deeper into the forbidden zone. The canyons narrowed, the walls rose higher. We were funneling into something. I could feel it, like the land was swallowing us. Around mid-morning, we found the first patrol's camp. It was exactly as the reports described. Tents still standing, gear organized, food laid out as if they'd been about to eat. But no soldiers, just their equipment, sitting there in the desert, waiting for owners who would never return. Torres ordered us to search the area. We fanned out, checked the tents, the gear, the vehicles parked nearby. Everything was intact. No signs of struggle. No blood, no evidence of what had happened. But there was something else. "Sarge," Kowalski called out. "You need to see this." He was standing near a rock formation at the edge of the camp. I joined Torres, and we walked over to see what he'd found. It was a message, scratched into the rock with something sharp. One word repeated over and over. "Run, run, 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 run." Dozens of times, covering the entire face of the rock. The scratching got more frantic toward the bottom, deeper, more desperate, as if whoever wrote it was running out of time. "One of the missing soldiers did this," Torres said quietly, "right before they were taken. Or right after. I said. We all understood what that meant. If one of them had survived long enough to carve this warning, they might have seen what happened to the others, might have seen the Skinwalker, might have understood what was coming for them. And they'd chosen to warn anyone who came after them. Run. We should have listened. We continued deeper into the canyon country. The sun climbed higher. The heat built. Sweat ran down our faces, soaking our uniforms. But nobody complained. We were rangers. We'd operated in worse conditions. Desert Storm, Somalia, this was nothing. Except it wasn't nothing. There was something wrong about this place. Something I couldn't put my finger on. The silence was too complete. No birds, no insects, no wind, just our boots on the sand and the sound of our own breathing. And I had the feeling we were being watched. Not just observed. Studied. Around noon, Chen spotted something. He was on point by then, Torres having rotated the position. He held up his fist. We froze, went to a knee, scanned for threats. Movement, Chen whispered into his radio. 11 o'clock, top of the ridge, one figure. I looked where he was pointing, and I saw it. A man, standing on the ridge maybe 300 yards away, just standing there, watching us. He was wearing army fatigues, BDUS, standard issue. I couldn't see his face at that distance, but I could see his outline. Tall, well-built, military bearing. One of the missing soldiers? Davis asked. Maybe, Torres said. Chen, what do you see through the scope? Chen brought up his rifle, looked through the optic. For a long moment, he was silent. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. He's not right. What do you mean? Torres asked. His face. It's wrong. The proportions are off, like someone tried to copy a face but didn't quite get it right. We all looked. The figure on the ridge hadn't moved, just stood there watching us. Not calling out, not waving for help, just watching. Then it smiled. Even from 300 yards I could see the smile. Too wide, too many teeth. Not a human smile, a mockery of one. Contact, Torres said quietly. That's our target. Chen, take the shot. Chen fired. The rifle cracked. The round hit center mass. I saw the impact through my binoculars. The figure staggered, but didn't fall. It looked down at the bullet hole in its chest, then looked back at us, and it laughed. The sound echoed off the canyon walls. High and wrong. Not a human laugh. Something imitating a human laugh without understanding what laughter was. Then it moved. I've never seen anything move that fast. One moment it was on the ridge. The next it was gone, just disappeared behind the rocks, moving faster than any human could possibly move. Did anyone see where it went? Torres demanded. Nobody had. It was just gone. Spread out. Find cover. Watch every direction. It's coming for us. We scrambled into defensive positions, found rocks and depressions, created a perimeter. 12 rifles pointing outward, waiting for something that could come from anywhere. 5 minutes passed. 10. Nothing. The desert was silent again. Then we heard it. Help me, please, help me. A voice, coming from somewhere in the rocks. A man's voice, scared, desperate. That's Williams, Davis said. Corporal Williams from the 1st Patrol. I know his voice. We trained together at Benning. Stay in position, Torres ordered. It's a trick. Help me. Oh God, please help me. They're dead. They're all dead. I'm the only one left. The voice was moving, circling around us. First to the left, then to the right, fast, too fast. It's not Williams, Torres said. Williams is dead. That thing killed him and took his voice. Nobody moves. The voice changed, became higher, younger. "Daddy, Daddy, where are you?" I felt my heart stop. It was my daughter's voice, my daughter Sarah's voice. She was 6 years old. She lived in Georgia with her mother. She was nowhere near this desert. But it was her voice, exactly her voice. "Daddy, I'm scared. The man is here, the bad man. Daddy, please help me." I started to move. Instinct, pure instinct. My daughter was calling for me. She needed me. I had to go to her. Torres grabbed my arm. "Reeves, stop, it's not her." I knew it wasn't her. Logically, I knew. But the voice, the fear in her voice. It was exactly what Sarah would sound like if she was scared. If she needed me. "Daddy, please, he's going to hurt me. Daddy, please." I struggled against Torres's grip. "I have to. It's not her. It's in your head. It's reading you. Block it out." I squeezed my eyes shut, put my hands over my ears, but I could still hear it. Sarah's voice, crying, screaming for me, begging me to save her. Then it stopped. I opened my eyes. The desert was silent again. No voice, no crying, just Torres staring at me with fear in his eyes. "It knows us," he said quietly. "It knows everything about us." "How?" "The soldiers it killed," Kowalski said. "Nez said it takes things from its victims. Memories, knowledge. Some of those soldiers knew us, knew our families. Now it knows too. It had only been watching us for a few hours, and it already knew the one thing that could make me lose my discipline. My daughter. The thing I cared about more than my own life. This wasn't like any enemy I'd ever faced. This was something else entirely. Torres got on the radio. "Base, this is Alpha Squad. We have made contact with the target. It's what Nez described. Request immediate extraction." Static. Then Kane's voice. "Negative on extraction, Alpha Squad. You are to locate the target and eliminate it. That's your mission." "You don't understand. This thing is playing with us. It's inside our heads. We need to regroup and— Negative, Sergeant. Complete your mission. Base out." Torres stared at the radio like he wanted to crush it. But he didn't. He was a ranger. He followed orders. "You heard the man," he said. "We have a mission. Let's complete it." We moved deeper into the canyon. The afternoon got worse. The thing stayed just out of sight, but it never stopped tormenting us. Voices from the rocks. Always someone we knew, a friend, a family member, a dead comrade, begging for help, screaming in pain, calling us by name. Davis broke first. His mother's voice came from a narrow canyon, begging him to save her. He knew it wasn't real, we all knew, but he couldn't take it anymore. He ran toward the voice. We chased him, found him on his knees in a dead-end canyon, crying. No voice anymore. It had led him away from the group, isolated him. We were lucky. We got to him before it did. But it had shown us how easy it would be to separate us, to pick us off one by one. "We stay together," Torres ordered. "Nobody breaks formation. Nobody chases voices. Whatever you hear, it's not real. Remember that. It's not real." We pushed on. The sun was getting lower. Soon it would be dark, and I had a feeling we didn't want to be in this canyon after dark. That's when we found them. The missing soldiers. They were in a cave near the top of a cliff. We spotted the cave entrance from below. Chen and I climbed up while the others provided cover. The climb was treacherous, loose rock and handholds that crumbled when you grabbed them. But we made it. The cave went back maybe 50 feet, and at the end, lying in the darkness, were bodies. 14 bodies. The first patrol and the MP squad. All of them accounted for, but they weren't right. They were arranged in a circle, arms and legs woven together like they'd been posed. Their faces were frozen in expressions of terror, eyes wide, mouths open in silent screams. They'd seen something at the end. Something that had scared them beyond anything they'd ever experienced. And they were dry, desiccated, like all the moisture had been drained from their bodies, like they'd been in the desert for years, not weeks. What did this to them? Chen whispered. I didn't know, but I noticed something else, small details that didn't quite match. A birthmark in the wrong place, a tattoo that was slightly off, hair that was a shade different than it should be. Then I realized, these aren't them, I said. What? These aren't the soldiers, they're copies. Something made copies of them, wore their faces, then left these behind. Like shed skin. Copies, the Skinwalker didn't just kill you. It didn't just take your memories and voice. It took your entire identity, copied you, became you, and left behind this hollow shell. 14 soldiers, 14 copies, 14 faces that the Skinwalker could now wear. We need to get out of here, Chen said. Right now. We climbed down fast, reported what we'd found. Torres listened with that flat expression he got when things went sideways, taking it in, processing, adapting. It can look like any of them, he said. 14 faces. It could approach any military installation looking like a soldier, could get inside, get close. The implications were staggering. It wasn't just killing for food or power. It was collecting identities it could use. We need to warn base, I said. Tell them not to trust anyone who comes in from the desert, even if they look like the missing soldiers. Torres nodded, got on the radio. Base, this is Alpha Squad. We have located the missing personnel. They're dead, all 14, but we have reason to believe the target is able to assume their physical appearance. Do not, repeat, do not allow anyone into base who claims to be from the missing patrols. They're not who they appear to be. Silence from the radio. Then Kane's voice. Alpha Squad, please repeat. You're saying the target can change its appearance to look like the missing soldiers. Affirmative. We found remains, but they're not normal remains. They're like shells, empty husks. Whatever this thing is, it copies people, takes their faces. We have to assume it can now look like any of the 14 missing. Another long silence. Understood, Alpha Squad. Security protocols updated. Continue your mission. Continue your mission, like it was that simple. Like we could just track this thing and kill it when it could look like anyone. When it had already proven it could mimic our families, our friends, our deepest fears. The sun was setting. The canyon walls were turning red and gold. Beautiful, but we couldn't appreciate it, because night was coming. And the Skinwalker had been toying with us in daylight. I didn't want to know what it could do in the dark. We need to find a defensive position, Torres said. Somewhere we can hold through the night, then extract in the morning. What about the mission? Kowalski asked. Torres looked at him. Our mission was to locate and eliminate. We've located, but we can't eliminate something we can't see, can't catch, and can't tell apart from our own men. We need to regroup, get better intel, come back with a real plan. Nobody argued. We'd all seen enough, heard enough. This wasn't a fight we could win. Not today. Not without more information, more resources, more something. We found a slot canyon with only one entrance. Good defensive position. Set up watches. Prepared for the night. Nobody slept, nobody tried. We just sat in the darkness, weapons ready, waiting for something to happen. Around midnight it did. Footsteps, coming up the canyon toward our position. Heavy, deliberate, not trying to hide. "Challenge," Torres called out. "Identify yourself." A figure appeared at the entrance to our slot canyon. Even in the low light, I could see the army fatigues, the ranger tab on the shoulder, the face. It was Torres. Staff Sergeant Michael Torres was standing at the entrance to the canyon, looking at us with a smile that was just slightly too wide. I looked to my left. Torres was there, right next to me, staring at himself. "You have to help me," the Torres at the entrance said. His voice was perfect. Exactly Torres's voice. Exactly his inflection. "I got separated from the squad, been wandering for hours. Let me in." The real Torres raised his rifle, pointed it at his own face. "That's not me." Nobody let it in. The thing wearing Torres's face looked at him, and its smile got wider, too wide, the corners of the mouth going up past where they should be able to go. "Come on, brother, let me in. I'm cold, I'm scared, I'm hurt." It took a step forward, into our defensive perimeter, and that's when Torres fired. The round hit the Skinwalker in the chest. It staggered but didn't fall. The blessed ammunition was supposed to work better than regular bullets. Maybe it did. The thing's smile faltered. Pain flickered across its face. Everyone opened fire. 12 rifles unloading on the thing wearing our sergeant's face. The impacts drove it back, put it on the ground. But even as we watched, the wounds started to close. "Fire!" Torres screamed. "Use the flares. Hit it with fire." Kowalski pulled out a flare, lit it, threw it at the Skinwalker. The thing saw it coming, moved, fast, impossibly fast. The flare missed, hit the canyon wall, cast everything in red light. And in that red light I saw the Skinwalker change. Torres's face melted, shifted, became something else. The features elongated, the mouth filled with teeth. The eyes went yellow and slit like a snake's. For just a moment, I saw what it really looked like under the masks it wore. Then it was gone, scrambled up the canyon wall and over the top and into the darkness, fast as a thought. Gone. We stood there, breathing hard, hands shaking, looking at the bullet casings and the flare burning on the ground and the empty space where the Skinwalker had been. "Did we hurt it?" Davis asked. "I don't know," Torres said. "But now it knows we can fight back, and that's going to make it angry." He was right. We'd surprised it, wounded it maybe, but we hadn't killed it. And now it knew our capabilities, knew our weapons, knew we had blessed ammunition and fire. It would adapt, just like Nez said it would. Tomorrow it would be smarter, faster, more dangerous, and it still had 14 faces to choose from, 14 identities it could use to get close to us, including now apparently Torres. It could look like any of us, sound like any of us, know what we knew, remember what we remembered, and we had no way to tell the difference until it was too late. How do you fight an enemy that can become anyone? How do you trust your brother when he might have been replaced? I looked at the men around me, my squad, my brothers, and for the first time since Panama, since Mogadishu, since all of it, I felt real fear, because one of them might not be them anymore. And I'd never know until it was too late. We survived the night, barely. The Skinwalker came back 3 more times before dawn, each time wearing a different face. First, it was Corporal Williams from the missing patrol. Then, it was someone none of us recognized. The last time, around 0400, it wore the face of Davis's dead brother, a Marine who'd been killed in a training accident 2 years earlier. Davis almost shot himself that time. We had to physically restrain him. The thing just watched from the edge of the flare light, wearing his brother's face, telling him that death wasn't so bad, that they could be together again. that all he had to do was come out of the canyon. When the sun finally came up, we were broken. 10 hours of psychological warfare. 10 hours of hearing voices we loved saying terrible things. 10 hours of looking at each other and wondering who was still real. Torres got on the radio at first light. "Base, this is Alpha Squad. We need immediate extraction. We've lost unit cohesion. We cannot continue the mission." Static. Then Kane's voice, but it sounded different, strained. "Alpha Squad, return to base immediately. We have a situation here." "What kind of situation?" Torres asked. A pause. "One of the missing soldiers walked into camp last night, Corporal Williams. He was wounded, dehydrated, but alive. He's been asking about you, asking when you'll be back." Every one of us froze. Corporal Williams. The same face that had come to our position in the night. The same face that had tried to lure Davis to his death. The Skinwalker had gotten into base. "Kane, listen to me very carefully," Torres said. "That's not Williams. Williams is dead. We found his body. That thing wearing his face is the Skinwalker. You need to contain it immediately. Do not let it near anyone. Do not let it—" The radio cut off. Just static. Torres tried again. "Base, respond. Base, do you copy?" Nothing. The radio was dead. We looked at each other. 12 men in the desert, no communication, no extraction, and the enemy was now behind us, inside our base, wearing the face of a dead soldier. "We move," Torres ordered. "Now. Back to base. Double time." We ran. I don't know how we did it. We'd been awake for 36 hours. We'd been subjected to psychological torture all night. We were exhausted, dehydrated, scared out of our minds. But we ran anyway, because our people at base were in danger, because that thing was among them, and they didn't know what it really was. The run back took 3 hours. By the time we reached the FOB, the sun was high and we were stumbling with exhaustion. But what we found there made me forget all of that. The base was quiet. Too quiet. No guards at the perimeter, no activity around the tents, just silence. We moved in tactical formation, weapons up, scanning for threats, but there was nothing to see, just empty tents and abandoned equipment. Then we found the first body. It was Kane, Mr. Kane, who had sent us into the desert to hunt something we didn't understand. He was lying outside the command tent. His throat was torn out. His face was frozen in an expression of absolute terror. He'd seen it at the end, seen what was really wearing Corporal Williams's face. We found the others scattered around the base. 30 personnel, all dead, some from violence, others from what looked like self-inflicted wounds. They'd turned on each other. The Skinwalker had gotten inside their heads just like it had with us. Made them see things, hear things, made them paranoid and scared and eventually homicidal. Nez was among the dead, the medicine man who'd tried to warn us, who'd blessed our weapons and given us what protection he could. He was lying near the helicopter pad. He'd tried to run, hadn't made it. The helicopters were destroyed, fuel lines cut, rotors sabotaged. We weren't flying out of here. The vehicles were the same, engines ripped apart, tires slashed. No way to drive out either. We were stranded, in the middle of the Navajo Nation, with that thing somewhere nearby. "It herded us," Torres said quietly. "It let us go last night so we'd come back here. Find this. It wanted us to see what it did, wanted us to be scared." "It's working," Kowalski muttered. "Shut up." Torres looked around, thinking, planning. Even now, even in this, he was looking for the tactical solution. Okay, we can't drive out. Can't fly out. Nearest town is what, 40 miles? We can make that. We've done forced marches before. We move in one group, stay tight, watch each other. We can make it. What about the Skinwalker? Davis asked. It's still out there. Then we move fast. It hunts at night. We travel during the day. We can cover 40 miles before dark if we push. It was a plan, not a good one, but a plan. We gathered what supplies we could: water, ammo, first aid, anything useful. Then we formed up and started marching, east, toward the edge of the reservation, toward civilization. The first 10 miles were quiet, just the desert and the sun and our boots on the sand. Nobody talked. We were too tired, too scared, too focused on putting one foot in front of the other. Then Chen spotted something. Movement, 3 o'clock, in the rocks. We stopped, took cover, scanned the area. There, a figure moving through the rocks about 200 yards out. Army fatigues, moving parallel to us. It's following us, I said. Ignore it, Torres ordered. It wants us to engage, to slow down. We keep moving. We kept moving, but the figure kept following. Sometimes it got closer, sometimes it dropped back. But it was always there, watching. After another hour, it wasn't alone anymore. More figures appeared. In the rocks, on the ridgelines. At least 6 of them, all wearing army fatigues. All faces we recognized from the missing patrols, walking along with us like some kind of honor guard. There's more than one, Davis whispered. There's multiple Skinwalkers. No, Torres said, but his voice was uncertain. It's the same one. It's just, I don't know, projecting, making us see things. But we could all see them. All 6 of us could see the same figures in the same positions. That wasn't hallucination, that was real. Then I noticed something else. I counted our squad. We'd left base with 12 men. Torres, me, Kowalski, Davis, Chen, and 7 others. I counted again. 13. There were 13 men in our formation. Stop! I shouted. Everyone stop! The squad halted, looked at me. Count off, I said. Everyone count off right now. 1. Torres. 2. Kowalski. 3. Davis. 4. Chen. They kept going. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12. Not 13. I'd counted wrong, must have counted wrong. But I hadn't counted wrong. I knew what I'd seen. For just a moment, there had been 13 men in our formation. The Skinwalker had been among us, walking with us, and we hadn't known. It's here, I said. It's been here, walking with us. Everyone started looking at each other. Suspicion. Fear. Who had been the extra man? Who wasn't who they appeared to be? Hold on, Torres said. Everyone calm down. We don't know. How do we know it's not you? Kowalski snapped. It wore your face last night. How do we know you're really you? Because I'm me, you idiot. I've been with you the whole time. So has everyone. That's the point. It could be any of us. Men started raising their weapons, pointing them at each other. The paranoia the Skinwalker had been cultivating all along, it was finally paying off. We were turning on each other, just like the people at base had. Stop! Torres shouted. Everyone lower your weapons. That's an order. Nobody lowered their weapons. Don't you see what's happening? I said. This is what it wants. It wants us to kill each other. It doesn't have to hunt us if we hunt ourselves. Then how do we know who's real? Davis demanded. I didn't have an answer. Nobody did. How do you verify someone's identity when the enemy can copy everything about them? Their face, their voice, their memories, their mannerisms. There was no test, no challenge, no way to be sure. The Skinwalker had beaten us. Completely. Totally. Without even fighting us directly. Just by existing. Just by making us know it could be anyone. The ash, Chen said suddenly. Nez said the ash would protect us, that it would hurt the Skinwalker, make everyone hold up their ash pouches. We'd all been given the pouches. We're all supposed to wear them around our necks. If the Skinwalker couldn't touch them, couldn't stand to be near them, that might be our test. 12 men reached for their pouches. Held them up, 12 pouches, no reaction from anyone. Nobody in pain. Nobody unable to touch the ash. Either the ash doesn't work like that, Torres said, or it's not among us right now. Either way, we need to keep moving. Standing here arguing is getting us nowhere. He was right. We were burning daylight. And the Skinwalker, whether it was among us or watching from a distance, was winning by making us stand still. We started moving again. But the trust was gone. Nobody walked close to anyone else. Everyone kept looking over their shoulder, watching their brothers with fear instead of confidence. That's how it killed unit cohesion. Not with violence. With doubt. We covered another 15 miles by afternoon. The terrain was changing, getting closer to the edge of the reservation. We could see a road in the distance. Civilization. Safety. Then Martinez collapsed. He went down without warning. Just dropped. We rushed over. He was unconscious. Breathing, but unresponsive. His skin was pale. His pulse was weak. "What happened?" Torres demanded. He was fine. He was just walking. Davis checked him, started to examine him, then stopped. His face went white. "Sarge," he said quietly. "Look at his neck." Martinez's throat had 2 puncture wounds, small, like an animal bite, but deep, and the skin around them was gray. Diseased looking. "When did this happen?" Torres asked. "He was with us the whole time. When could it have—" He stopped, because we all realized the answer. It had been among us, walking with us. And at some point, it had gotten close to Martinez, bitten him, poisoned him, without any of us seeing. How long had it been wearing one of our faces? How long had it been right next to us, waiting for its moment? Martinez stopped breathing. Davis tried to resuscitate. We all tried, but it was too late. Whatever poison the Skinwalker had injected, it had finished its work. Martinez was dead. We were 11 now. The figures in the rocks were still there, watching. Maybe laughing, I couldn't tell. We left Martinez where he fell. We couldn't carry him and survive. It was the hardest decision Torres ever made, but it was the right one. We'd come back for him later, if there was a later. We pushed on. The road was closer now, maybe 5 miles. If we could reach it, we could flag down a car, get to a phone, call for help. But the Skinwalker wasn't done with us. Around 1600 hours, we heard the helicopter. It came from the west. A Black Hawk, Army markings, flying low and fast toward our position. Relief. Rescue. Someone had come for us. The helicopter landed about 100 yards away. The side door slid open. A crew chief leaned out, waved us in. "Let's go." Torres started moving toward the helicopter. I grabbed his arm. "Wait." "What?" "It's our extraction. Let's go." How did they find us? Our radio is dead. They don't know where we are. How did they know to come here? Torres stopped. Looked at the helicopter. Looked at the crew chief still waving. "That's a good point," he said slowly. We watched the helicopter, watched the crew chief. He was wearing a flight helmet, visor down. I couldn't see his face. "Show us your face," I shouted over the rotor noise. "Take off the helmet." The crew chief tilted his head, confused maybe, or pretending to be confused. "Take off the helmet," Torres shouted. "We need to see your face." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crew chief reached up, slowly took off the helmet. It was Torres. Staff Sergeant Michael Torres was standing in the helicopter wearing a flight suit, looking at us with a smile that was just slightly too wide. The real Torres raised his rifle. "That's not possible. I'm right here." The Torres in the helicopter laughed. That same wrong laugh from before. High and inhuman. Then we heard the real helicopter coming from the east. Another Black Hawk. This one we could see through the cockpit windows. Real pilots. Real crew chief. Coming to find us. The fake helicopter wavered, shimmered, and disappeared. Just gone. Like it had never been there. The Skinwalker had made us see a whole helicopter. An entire aircraft. It had almost tricked us into walking right up to it. The real helicopter landed. The real crew chief opened the door, and his face was normal, proportional, human. "Alpha Squad," he shouted. "We've been searching for you for hours." Base went silent. "We came to investigate, found everyone dead. We need to get you out of here now." We didn't need to be told twice. We piled into the helicopter. 11 men crammed into a space meant for 8. But nobody complained. We were getting out. We were finally getting out. As the helicopter lifted off, I looked down at the desert. At the rocks and canyons and forbidden country we were leaving behind. And I saw it, standing in the open, not hiding anymore. The Skinwalker in its true form. 9 feet tall, twisted, wrong. Watching us rise into the sky with those yellow eyes. Then it shifted. The twisted form melted, smoothed, became something else. Torres. It became Torres. Perfect this time. Not just similar. Perfect. It stood in the desert wearing my sergeant's face, and it saluted us. A crisp military salute, mocking us. Then the helicopter banked, and I lost sight of it. We were out. But I couldn't shake the feeling that we hadn't escaped, that we'd just been released. Let go because the Skinwalker had gotten what it wanted. It had killed 30 people at the FOB, killed 3 of our squad, and now it had Torres's face, perfect, complete. It could go anywhere, be anyone, walk into any military installation in the country and be trusted. We hadn't won. We hadn't even fought to a draw. We'd been played. From the very beginning. And somewhere in that desert, the Skinwalker was learning how to be a ranger. The helicopter took us to Flagstaff, a secure facility that wasn't on any map. We were met by people who asked a lot of questions and answered none. Doctors, psychologists, men in suits who never gave their names. The kind of debrief that tells you whatever happened is being buried deep. They separated us immediately. Each of the 11 survivors put in a different room, questioned individually for hours, days. What did you see? What did you hear? What do you think it was? They already knew the answers. They'd known about the Skinwalker long before they sent us. They just wanted to know what we knew. I told them everything. What was the point of lying? They'd never believe me anyway. A shape-shifting creature that could wear human faces, that could create illusions, that could get inside your head and know your deepest fears. It sounded insane. It was insane. But it was also true. They didn't argue with me, didn't try to convince me I'd imagined it. They just took notes, asked more questions, dug deeper. These people knew exactly what we'd faced. They probably had files on Skinwalkers going back decades. After the debrief, they gave us a choice. Sign the papers and get reassigned to quiet postings where we'd never talk about what happened. Or refuse and face court-martial for violating national security protocols. Some choice. Everyone signed. I was transferred to a desk job at Fort Hood. Finished out my enlistment pushing papers. Never deployed again, never saw combat again, just sat at a desk and thought about that desert, about those faces in the rocks, about Torres's face on a 9-foot monster saluting me as the helicopter flew away. The other survivors scattered, different bases, different jobs. We didn't stay in touch, didn't want to. Every conversation would have been about the same thing. Better to just try to forget. But we couldn't forget. Couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop seeing the faces of the men we'd lost. Chen, Martinez, Morrison, and all the others from the FOB. Nez, Kane. 33 people dead because someone in the government thought sending soldiers after a skinwalker was a good idea. I left the Army in 1998, tried to build a normal life. Got married, got divorced, got married again. Had kids, worked as a security contractor for a while, then construction, then anything I could get. The nightmares made it hard to hold down jobs, hard to hold down relationships, hard to hold down anything. My second wife knew something was wrong. She could see the 1,000-yard stare, the way I'd freeze sometimes, the way I'd check every room before I entered it. She thought it was PTSD from combat. She wasn't wrong, but the combat she was imagining wasn't the combat I'd experienced. I never told her the truth. Never told anyone. What would be the point? They'd think I was crazy. I probably was crazy. But being crazy doesn't make something untrue. The thing that haunts me most isn't the skinwalker itself. Isn't the deaths. Isn't even the fear. It's Torres, Staff Sergeant Michael Torres. The best soldier I ever served with. The best man I ever knew. He made it out of that desert with us. He was on the helicopter. He was at the debrief. He signed the papers like the rest of us. But was it really him? The skinwalker had his face. Perfect. I'd seen it in the desert, standing there wearing Torres like a suit, saluting us, mocking us, and then we'd flown away and left it there. Or had we? The thing could copy people perfectly. Their faces, their voices, their memories, their mannerisms, everything. If it wanted to infiltrate the military to get inside our installations and learn our secrets, what better way than to replace a ranger? A trusted, respected soldier who'd been through trauma that would explain any small inconsistencies in his behavior. I've thought about this every day for 28 years. Was the Torres on that helicopter really Torres? Or had the skinwalker already replaced him somewhere in those canyons? During the night when it wore his face? During one of the attacks we barely survived? I'll never know for sure. And that's the worst part. Not knowing. I saw Torres once, about 5 years after the operation. He'd stayed in the Army, made Sergeant Major. Got assigned to some special projects unit that didn't appear in any official directory. He was doing well, successful, still sharp, still tactical, still everything Torres had always been. We got a drink, talked about nothing for a while. Then I asked him, I just asked him directly, "Is it you?" He knew what I meant, didn't pretend otherwise. "Yes," he said. "It's me. How do I know?" He thought about it. You don't. You can never know for sure. That's what it does. That's its real power. Not the shape-shifting, not the voice mimicry. The doubt, it plants doubt that never goes away. He was right. The skinwalker's greatest weapon wasn't its claws or its teeth or even its ability to wear faces. It was the paranoia, the knowledge that anyone could be it, that you could never really trust anyone again. "But I'll tell you something," Torres said. "I've asked myself the same question 1,000 times. Am I really me? How do I know I'm not the skinwalker just thinking I'm Torres? And I don't have an answer. I just have faith. Faith that I'm who I believe I am, that my memories are real, that my life is real. That's all any of us have." We finished our drinks. Never saw each other again. But I've thought about what he said, about faith, about choosing to believe in something you can never prove. I want to believe that Torres made it out. That the real Torres is still alive somewhere, living his life. But I can't be certain. And that uncertainty has colored every relationship I've had since 1996. Every friendship, every partnership. Every time I look at another person and wonder if they're really who they appear to be. The Skinwalker didn't kill me in that desert, but it destroyed something fundamental in my ability to trust. And I don't know if that will ever come back. Now let me tell you what I've learned since then. What I've pieced together from other sources. From people who've studied these things. From classified documents that have been leaked or declassified or just whispered about in the right circles. The Skinwalker we encountered wasn't the only one. Wasn't even close to the only one. They've been in North America for thousands of years. Living on the edges. Taking people when they can. The Navajo knew. Other tribes knew too. Different names, different stories, but the same warning. There are things that wear human faces, and they are not human. The government has known since at least the 1950s. Started investigating reports. Sending in teams to study them. And just like us, those teams usually didn't come back. Or came back changed. Broken. Unable to talk about what they'd seen. There have been dozens of operations like ours. Military units sent to eliminate skinwalkers. Most of them ended the same way. Casualties, cover-ups, classified reports that gather dust in secure facilities. The government learned, eventually. Learned that you can't hunt these things, can't track them or corner them or kill them with military force. They're too old, too smart, too adapted to their environment. The desert and the forests and the mountains are their territory. We're just visitors. So the policy changed. Instead of hunting skinwalkers, they started containing them, keeping them in certain areas, creating buffer zones around their territories, warning people away without telling them what they were really being protected from. The Navajo Nation is one of those buffer zones. That's why the tribal police told the army to stay out. Not because they didn't want help, because they knew help wasn't possible. They'd been managing the skinwalker threat for centuries. They had protocols, understandings, agreements that kept most people safe as long as certain lines weren't crossed. We crossed those lines, sent soldiers into forbidden territory. And the skinwalker did what it had always done when humans violated the agreement. It defended itself. With extreme prejudice. 33 people died because the government thought modern weapons could defeat ancient evil. They were wrong. The Skinwalker was old when the pyramids were being built. It had survived everything. Droughts, ice ages, the arrival of humans, the arrival of Europeans, the arrival of the American military. It wasn't going to be stopped by a squad of rangers with blessed bullets. I'm telling this story now because of something that's happening. Something that's made me break my silence after 28 years. People are disappearing again. Not just on the Navajo Nation, everywhere. All across the Southwest. Hikers who walk into the desert and never come back. Travelers who vanish from rest stops. Whole families who disappear from campgrounds without a trace. The numbers are increasing. Every year, more and more, something is changing. The skinwalkers are becoming bolder, expanding their territory, taking more people, or maybe there are just more of them now. Maybe they're spreading, learning, adapting to the modern world, finding new ways to hunt, new faces to wear, and the government is still covering it up. Still pretending it's not happening, still classifying reports and silencing witnesses and letting people walk into danger because telling them the truth would cause panic. That's why I'm breaking my NDA. Let them come for me. I'm 62 years old. I have PTSD and a drinking problem, and a life that never recovered from what happened in 1996. What are they going to do? Make it worse? People need to know. Need to understand that there are things in the wild places that aren't in any nature guide. Things that wear human faces. Things that can make you see what isn't there and miss what is. Things that have been hunting humans since before we had the language to describe them. The Skinwalkers are real, and they're still out there. I don't know what you should do with this information. I don't know what anyone can do. The government, with all its resources, couldn't stop them. A squad of rangers with combat experience in some of the worst places on Earth couldn't stop them. What chance does an ordinary person have? But you can be careful. You can pay attention. If you're in the Southwest, if you're in the desert or the forests of New Mexico or Arizona or Utah, be aware. Stay in groups. Don't go into areas that locals warn you about. Don't investigate strange sounds or follow voices into the wilderness. And if you see someone you know, someone who shouldn't be where they are, someone whose smile is just slightly wrong, whose face doesn't quite match your memory, run. Don't talk to it. Don't try to verify. Don't give it a chance to get close. Just run. Because once it's close enough to touch you, it's too late, and nobody will ever find your body. There's one more thing I need to tell you. Something that happened recently. Something that made me finally record this story. Last month, I got a phone call. Number I didn't recognize. Voice I did. It was Torres. "Reeves, yeah," he said. "Long time. How are you?" We talked for a few minutes, catching up. Normal conversation. Then he said something strange. "You need to come out here, to New Mexico. There's something I have to show you. Something about what really happened in '96. "I don't want to go back there," I told him. "I know, but this is important. It's about the men we lost. The truth about what happened to them. You need to see it." "What truth? What are you talking about?" "I can't explain over the phone. Just come. I'll text you the coordinates. Come alone." Then he hung up. I looked at the text he sent. Coordinates in the middle of the New Mexico desert. Middle of nowhere. No towns. No roads. Just empty land. Middle of Skinwalker territory. I haven't gone. I'm not going. Because here's the thing. I know Torres. I served with Torres. And that phone call didn't feel like Torres. The words were right. The voice was right. But something underneath was wrong. A tone. An inflection. Something I couldn't quite identify but could feel in my gut. Was it really Torres? Or was it the Skinwalker calling to me after 28 years, trying to lure me back to the desert? It knows me. Knows my fears. Knows my history. And it knows that curiosity, the need to understand what really happened, is one of my weaknesses. Come alone. That's what it said. Come alone. Into the desert to learn the truth. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe it really was Torres. Maybe there really is something he needs to show me. But I survived 1996 by trusting my instincts. And my instincts are telling me to stay away. If it was really Torres, he'd understand. He'd know why I'm not coming. He'd know that after everything we went through, that kind of invitation is exactly the trap a Skinwalker would set. And if it wasn't Torres, then the thing that wore his face is still out there, still hunting, still learning. And it remembers me. I'm recording this story as insurance if something happens to me. If I disappear or turn up dead or just stop posting, people will know why. They'll know what really happened in Arizona in 1996. And they'll know what's still out there waiting. My name is Marcus Reeves. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Army Rangers. I went into the desert to hunt a Skinwalker. The Skinwalker won. And it's still winning. Every day. Every disappearance. Every person who walks into the wilderness and never walks out. The Navajo were right. Some things shouldn't be named, shouldn't be spoken of, shouldn't be hunted by humans with guns and hubris. The Skinwalkers were here before us. They'll be here after us, and in the meantime, all we can do is be careful. Watch each other. Trust our instincts when something feels wrong. Because the monster doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like your friend, your sergeant, your brother. Sometimes it wears the face of the person you trust most. And by the time you realize the truth, it's already too late. Be careful out there. Be skeptical. Be afraid. Because I promise you, whatever you're imagining, the reality is worse. 3 days ago, I got another text. Same unknown number. I know you got my message. I know you're scared. But you need to see what I found. It changes everything. Please, Marcus, come to the coordinates. I promise you'll be safe. I didn't respond. Then yesterday, another text. You can't hide from this forever. You can't hide from me. I'll be seeing you soon, old friend. I've contacted the police, contacted the FBI, contacted everyone I can think of. Nobody can trace the number. Nobody believes what I tell them. Why would they? It sounds like a paranoid delusion, but it's not. I know what's sending those messages, and I know that sooner or later it's going to stop waiting for me to come to it. It's going to come for me. So this is my testimony, my record, my warning. The Skinwalkers are real. They're old and evil and patient. They can look like anyone, sound like anyone, know what you know, and feel what you feel. And they don't forget. Staff Sergeant Michael Torres, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, was the best soldier I ever knew. I don't know if he made it out of that desert in 1996. I don't know if the man I've talked to since then was really him. But I know something has his face, his voice, his memories, and it's coming for me. If I disappear, if I die, you'll know why. And you'll know what really lives in the American Southwest. What's always lived there, the old evil. The one that wears faces. Tell people. Warn them. Because the government won't. They'll keep covering it up, keep classifying it, keep letting people walk into danger. The only protection anyone has is knowledge. Knowing that they exist. Knowing what they can do. Knowing to run when something feels wrong. Run. Always run. Because you can't fight what you can't identify. Can't kill what can become anyone. You can only survive. If you're lucky. I was lucky once. In 1996, I made it out. I don't think I'll be lucky twice.